This is Eddie Muller. Thanks for joining me again in Noir Alley, where you'll often find an obscure example of the stylish type of movie making known as noir. Today's uncovered gem is a B feature from the watershed year of 1949, height of the film noir movement in Hollywood. It's The Threat from RKO, about a notorious crook who busts out of prison looking for revenge. What it may lack in plot, it makes up for with a hostage drama that's surprisingly violent for the era. Now, back in 2009, I presented a program of rare noir films at the legendary Institut Lumière in Lyon. The Threat screened early on a Friday morning, and imagine my surprise when the auditorium started filling up with rows and rows of French schoolchildren on a field trip to the birthplace of cinema to see a 60-year-old black and white film. Now, that may have been the most gratifying moment of my career as a film preservationist. Of course, then they watched the film. And even though these were fairly sophisticated kids, I'm sure they had wine with lunch, they were startled by the film's brutality, and I was almost embarrassed for showing it. Almost. They applauded at the end and wanted to know what was screening next. Yeah, you heard me right. Kids, barely teenagers, on a school trip to watch old movies. America has a long way to go to catch the French when it comes to appreciating classic cinema. Here, kids have to play hooky to watch old movies on TV, like I did growing up. Now, one of the things those French kids found compelling about The Threat, like everyone who sees it, is its central actor, Charles McGraw. As escaped psycho Arnold "Red" Kluger, the actor gave a bust-out performance, one that put him on the industry's radar for more than just bit parts. McGraw's place in the pantheon of noir players is as rock-solid as his chin.
What time is it?
Give me your watch. Now you don't have to worry about the time.
This will already be the 9th movie we've shown on Noir Alley in which McGraw has a featured or leading role. Born Charles Butters in Des Moines, Iowa, McGraw's shot and acting career coincided precisely with the rising tide of crime drama later to be known as noir. That face and voice and intimidating presence typecast him for years as either a flatfoot or a torpedo. Flip a coin. You've heard me speak often here of the essential role RKO Pictures played in making significant noir films, as well as all the trouble the studio endured when it was taken over by Howard Hughes. Today's film is from that tumultuous time when Hughes's stewardship almost crashed the studio, like he'd crashed his experimental XF-11 airplane on its maiden flight over Los Angeles. The Threat and low-budget films like it were what RKO managed to produce while Hughes decided what he wanted to do with the studio. The screenplay, what there is of it, is by Dick Irving Highland, who had a handful of forgettable B pictures to his credit, things like Hi Beautiful, Linda Be Good, and a PRC crime drama called I Ring Doorbells, that I will assume played on double bills with The Fuller Brush Man. His collaborator, Hugh King, hadn't written a picture since 1939, but since it's his original story, he finagled a producer credit on this film as well. Now, the real creative force in this film, however, is its director, Felix Feist, who I suspect had more than a little input on the screenplay. Feist had previously made a picture at RKO called The Devil Thumbs a Ride, and The Threat is practically a carbon copy. Both movies revolve around a sadistic and unrepentant psychopath holding a house full of innocent people hostage. There. I gave away the entire plot. But that's okay, because neither of these movies hinge on the plot. They're all about the squirmy pleasure of watching two powerhouse actors given free rein to wreak havoc. Now, The Devil Thumbs a Ride capitalized on Lawrence Tierney's breakthrough performance in 1945's Dillinger, which set him up for the lead role in RKO's 1947 A picture, Born to Kill. The Threat served the same purpose for Charles McGraw. RKO gives him only third billing on posters for The Threat, but in the trade press, they push the actor's ferocity for all it was worth, heralding him as a new and entertaining bad guy in the mold of Richard Widmark, Dan Duryea, and of course, Lawrence Tierney. Now, Tierney couldn't parlay his good fortune into steady success. His booze-fueled belligerence got him arrested so many times he was relegated to making B pictures for those who had the guts to cast him. McGraw, on the other hand, while certainly not averse to boozing and brawling, was a total professional. RKO would make him the lead in The Narrow Margin and Roadblock, but for the rest of his career, McGraw would steadily play supporting roles, breaking out of the cop or crook straitjacket to figure memorably in classics like Spartacus, The Birds, and In Cold Blood. Now, McGraw had already made 25 pictures prior to this, working with tremendous directors like Robert Siodmak and Anthony Mann. But on the set of The Threat, he wasn't the menacing mug lurking at the edge of the frame. He is front and center, a burly juggernaut, and director Felix Feist relishes turning this snapping bulldog loose on a bruised and battered supporting cast that includes Michael O'Shea, Frank Conroy, Don McGuire, and Virginia Gray, who takes her fair share of lumps as McGraw's possibly duplicitous girlfriend. Now, like The Devil Thumbs a Ride, I tend to think of this as a live-action cartoon, with humans standing in for savvy roadrunners and wily coyotes. Now, buckle up for this 66-minute flight. It may be short, but I promise you lots of turbulence. Here is The Threat.